Oh, just in time, Dino. Perfect. That was perfect timing. Right. Yeah, this is going to be a bit of fun. This is going to be a bit of fun, but actually touching on some really important topics that throughout our industry. So, and ultimately, let's see who gets crowned, future media leader. Is it going to be? I know, Dino's just rocked up. Is it going to be team media owner?
I went to the wrong hotel.
That's a good start by you going to the wrong hotel. I'm going to let you introduce yourselves. I'll start with team agency and who just got here, Dino. If you could introduce yourself, please.
I haven't even had a coffee this morning.
That's your fault.
Hi there, I'm Dino Myers-Lamptey. I'm the founder of the barbershop, and that's nice and easy.
Cool. Chrissy?
Hi, my name is Christiane Kemp, but you can call me Chrissy, and I head of digital media operations at Lightshare.
Lauren?
She's got way more people here.
I've got my phone.
I'm Lauren Ogundecker, Chief Digital Officer at Initiative.
Got a little ripple of applause here, Ellie.
Hello, I'm Shelley Bishton. I'm Head of Creative Diversity at News UK. I'm also from Birmingham. Chris Kenner told me to say that. And I love wine. I wish I could have one right now.
I didn't realise we were doing intro, Shelley. So I'm Caroline Forbes. I work at Clear Channel UK and I am Head of Sales for Out of Home Agencies.
Nice. And see?
Why didn't anyone do that for me? Thank you. Okay.
We have one last chance for a big... Right, just no pressure. Ezekiel Taiwo, I am a client partner lead for Deliveroo's new media business.
Right, and as you can tell, we want audience participation in this, and the teams can also ask the audience if they get stuck. So let's cheer them on, let's get involved, but also let's remember this is a competition, guys, and second place is first loser. So no pressure.
Oh gosh.
Hello. I mean, this is serious. This is serious.
Where do we look?
Right, you can look down there. You should be able to look down there. Right, round one. So let me explain the rules. So round one is odd one out, and each team will be shown 4 pictures. 3 of the pictures are related, and we've got something in common, and the team must work out which picture is the odd one out and why. Right? Team media owner, we're coming to you first.
They're just rebooting the screen.
Oh. Do you know this? Do you know who they are? Or why they're related? This is team media owner's questions, but you guys can also have a think about it. Right, time's running out, guys. Do you want to ask the audience, or do you know? Caroline, I'm looking at you. I'm going to push you guys for an answer, Steve. Right, time's up. Time's up, guys.
All right, yes, all right.
Okay.
I'm saying it apparently.
Yeah. Right,
so,
okay.
We think it's top left. I think that's Jill.
Yes.
She's not here today. She's here tomorrow.
Okay. That is the wrong answer. I'm going to put it is Jill, but that is the wrong answer. I'm going to put it across to team agency.
We think it's...
so we think it's bottom right, because the editor of the Mirror, rather than something to do with women's football on TV and commentary.
Okay. But also wrong.
Oh.
Good start. This is going to be a high score.
Because he's a man.
It's not because he's a man. So the pictures are, you've got Carolyn McCall, CEO of ITV, you've got Jill Scott, who's the England International and Euro 22 winner, you've got Alison Phillips, who's editor of Daily Mirror, and then the odd person out on this one is Jordan Jarrett Bryan. He's TalkSport presenter and founder of Black Academic. Sorry. The reason Jordan is the odd one out is because he's actually, everybody else is doing the Future Leaders debate session on day 2. He's actually doing 2 sessions. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So we've made it really nice and easy for you.
And he's
Okay? You can see where this is going, yeah?
Was that a warm-up?
Listen, I didn't set the questions. I am just, you know, I didn't set the
Jordan
questions.
here?
So, yeah.
I want to speak to management.
So far, we have nil points for media owners, but let's go to team agency for your odd one out. And remember as well, team media owner, have a look, because you could steal the point if they don't get it right. Any thoughts?
We know.
You know?
We don't know.
You know what it is, but you don't know. I can't tell you. Right, okay. So I'm looking at you, Lauren.
Oh, God. So we think it's this lady, and I can't remember her
Sabrina
name.
Clark.
Sabrina Clark. Because she's not a columnist, and everybody else is a columnist.
That is wrong.
Crying out loud. I'm going home.
It's not going to be any serious much about
Good
it.
night. Team media owner, what do you
To
think?
be honest, we were gonna say Sabrina as
Okay.
well.
Would you like to opt for another answer and try and steal a
Everyone else
point?
is wearing black.
Go on, Zeke.
Everyone else is wearing black. Steve made his answer.
See, while that is a great observation, that is also incorrect. The odd one out is Omar Oakes. So you touched upon it in terms of a columnist, but he's obviously the editor.
Yeah.
The others are regular columnists for the media leaders. So you were close.
There he is.
You were close, but
No cigar.
and there's no half points. So yeah. So that's a high scoring, just in case anyone missed that. So we've got 0-0 for round 1. But this is round 2. This is who said that. So chance to pick up some points there. Right. So just to explain the rules, each team will be given one quote which is taken from an opinion piece that appeared in the Media Leader in 2022. So I hope you guys have been doing your homework and lots of reading. You've got to guess who the quote is from, and then we're going to discuss the subject matter of the quote, okay? I'm coming to team agency first for your quote. With more touch points, channels and consumer preferences than ever before, the expectation economy has little patience with those organisations that fail to keep up. Now, who said that? Is it A, Benita Samuels?
Can we delete this one?
B, Neo Duro Emmanuel? C, Enyu Nusu? Or D, Chris Kenner? And you can ask the audience, and Chris is in front.
Can we phone a friend?
This is team agencies first, but we're ready to steal.
I still didn't.
Is it
Cool.
Nia?
Can we ask for 50-50?
You got your answer? So you think it's Nia?
Nia. Is it Nia?
Yeah. It is.
Oh, God.
Yes. You have a point. You have a point. Right. So
Bloody time.
perfect. You've got a point. So discussion. Let's have a think about it. This was also open for discussion as well with you, team media owner. So it's about the opportunities for advertisers to use media to reach consumers wherever they go and wherever they may be, which we know is a kind of a holy grail that we're all trying to do. So how can advertisers think smarter when they are planning full funnel activity? What are you doing? What are you seeing? How are you advising brands and around this? Dino.
Oh, big question. So, I think people too often get too focused with the full funnel. I mean, we're trying to always kind of measure, every little step of the way. But funnels are such weird things because everyone makes decisions depending on categories at completely different stages and completely different ways. And there's a lot of data that we have, but there's a lot of data that we're clearly missing when we don't consider things like influence of peers and friends and others and word of mouth. So I think that sometimes we can be fooled by trying to get the perfect picture of the data and really almost consider humans and people to be like machines. To
So
kind of,
data's
just
tripping
go
us up
through.
almost,
I think
isn't
it can be
Yeah.
because there is just so much. It's a bit like, you know, the economy, isn't it? In terms of like trying to work out what's going on. There's so much going on that it's quite hard to know exactly the different kind of stages. So we're on this quest for constant kind of more data and more tools and more tech. And it will definitely be helpful if we can get more, but there's so much of it that it's just immeasurable.
And I think you mentioned a good point there in that consumer, and you know, we often get so caught up with our day job and so caught up with what's the next best thing, and actually it's about the consumer and how the consumer is reacting. And we forget we are also consumers, and how do we react to certain things? Lauren, you're nodding there. Do you want to kind of add in on that
In
point?
agreement. I think from my perspective and for our perspective at Initiative, we are trying to focus on audience first. We're trying to move away from brand versus performance. There is a constant sort of agitation between the two, and we're at a space in time now that you can't. I really struggle with calling traditional media offline and saying online, because we're moving towards complete digitization. So it's important for brands to start to think in a more fluid way and understand that you have to build a brand in order to be able to make performance work really well. You also have to take the insights that you're getting from your performance marketing to feed into a broader strategy. So it is moving away from that full funnel approach, and remembering that the data points are there to support in really strong media planning, and you should be looking at everything. I will say to a client, if TV is working really well, move all the money from paid search. If some of my team were here, they would kill me. But we have to get to that point where we're comfortable to say that, and all those teams are working together.
And make those brave decisions.
Yeah, exactly. It's about growth.
Yeah.
It's really about growth.
Yeah. Chrissy, I'd like to hear from your viewpoint.
For me, from looking at it from an operational point of view, I think obviously our media planners, they are the artists, and we want them to paint the most extraordinary picture that they can that really excites the client. So from my point of view, it's all about ensuring that we give them all the tools. So what is that canvas? What does that paint look like? So really looking at the tools and ensuring that, yeah, as Dino kind of mentioned, we have like this explosion of data. We have so much information that's coming through that for the normal human person to compute all of that and make it into a sensible form, it's tough. So we need the machines, but we also need our artists to perform. So as much as we can implement what we can to take all the heavy lifting, so we can give them the speed, the efficiency, so that they have the answers to then put a strategy together. So for me, let's allow our artists to perform by giving them what they need.
I love that. Let's allow our artists to perform. I'm going to come over to Team Media Owner on that point. Caroline, if I come to you first, in terms of what you're doing and how out of home has developed to become more digital, as Lauren was saying, as all channels are into that space. So how are you helping advertisers and agencies?
So I'm just want to pick up on the point that kind of Lauren and Dino made in terms of that tension between kind of digital and kind of traditional media, and actually that there doesn't need to be a rub. The two can coexist together, and actually the data, whilst informs kind of where audiences are and where you can reach them, we use lots of tools in out of home to do that. We are also, a very inclusive channel. We're a public medium, so therefore we are one-to-many and we reach everyone. Without kind of excluding anyone. There's the point around kind of broadcast and making sure that you're reaching a broadcast audience, but also layering that with the data so you're reaching them effectively.
Cool. So from a brand's perspective, and Deliveroo, obviously spiked so much during COVID, but from a brand's perspective, what are you doing in terms of those consumer touch points, and how Deliveroo kind of looking at, touching the customer along the different elements of the journey?
Yeah, I mean, we are in a very sort of unique position that we have a full funnel platform in a way. So we can actually reach a user at every stage, right? In the sense that you can drive awareness, you can, drive conversion and consideration all in one potential flow. Deliveroo as a business, we are now really setting up our technology and platform to help partners, FMCG brands, to reach consumers during that journey. And the key to that is what's been said many times already, is data. There's nothing more powerful than knowing what your customer wants and when they want it, and then giving them the tools to put the right product in front of them. So that's essentially the proposition that Deliveroo is going to market with. But I think if we take a step back a bit, in terms of customer experience, yes, we have multiple channels, but I feel when we humanize what we are trying to do, we are trying to talk to people. And we don't live in one channel at a time, right? It's omni-channel. I will start my day by checking my phone, then checking my emails, and then watching some Sky News, then going into the store. So those are the multiple touch points. And the reason why I feel like a lot of advertisers are being left behind is a lack of collaboration. And I mean that because we all have a lot of data, but your data is one unique perspective of me. My data is a perspective of me as well. So if we can all come together and collaborate, and there are tools, clean rooms, where you can put your data in one spot, I can put my data in one spot, and it gives a more holistic view of me, then in theory, if I've been on Deliveroo and I've been thinking about buying a bottle of wine, but I haven't done that, but then I go into Tesco and you have, out of home displays, and we've shared data, you then know, okay, Zeke, pick up that bottle of wine you were thinking about, treat yourself. That's that sort of full approach we can take. And we have the capabilities. I think it's just the willingness, and let's just sit down and compare notes in, aligned to data privacy laws, of course.
I love that. Disclaimer there.
Yeah, absolutely. Please, GDPR is real. So let's use the tools available that allows us to be more effective. To humanize what we're trying to do.
Yeah, collaboration, it's something we've talked about. It's not anything new, it's the holy grail, and that's what we should be doing, and speaking to each other. Chrissy, I'm just going to come to you. Obviously, your role is slightly different, but that collaboration, that collaborative piece... Shelley. I called you...
Like, you're looking
sorry, Shelley. I was doing so well.
I was like,
Shelley.
I'm going to get away with not talking to that.
No, you're not.
Yeah. Okay. Back in the room, Shelley.
Back in the room. Shelley, collaboration. So in terms of your role, and what are News UK doing in terms of kind of data, customer experience, and kind of bringing it all together?
I mean, I think for me, just listening to this conversation and thinking about this in advance, it's how do we make these conversations relatable? And obviously, working at News, speaking to millions of people, how do you speak to a nation of people? You can't speak to them in one way. Everyone's experiencing everything, all the factors we're going to be discussing today, cost of living, sustainability, everyone's experiencing these things in different ways. How do you use data, all these things that we're talking about, to actually relate to people where they're at? Something I've been thinking about a lot lately is this kind of north-south divide. I think we all live in a bit of a bubble here in kind of what we do in London, what we do in the south. And, obviously our high streets are busy again, we're out and about, we're advertising, we're kind of seeing this boom. But actually you go up north, them high streets are dead. The high streets are completely closed off. People are really local, people are really focused on community. They're kind of moving away from, so it's like that's how I think we need to think about in terms of the customer experience. How do we make it so that we're serving everybody? And kind of relating to them.
Definitely. And that's where the authenticity piece comes in, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's something we all talk about. And it's speaking to people, as you say, different messages, and making sure that you're being relatable and authentic so that people, understand. Don't try and look at my iPad, Dino.
and point, please.
And get it. And get the next one. Right, let's go on to, because this is a game show, and this is about winning or losing. So let's go on to the next quote, and this is for teen media owner. Moving into white space has been successfully done before. News Corporation split from 21st Century Fox and built a multi-billion-dollar empire. By 2035, we will see more technology-driven ventures, from content, strategy or ventures. The future of media is about exploiting adjacencies. Now, who said this? Was it A, Sabrina Clark, B, Bianca Barrett, C, Stephen Arnold, or D, Lawrence Green?
Lucy, do you know? Do we ask the audience?
You can ask the
Lucy's
audience if you
giving us
like.
vibes.
The audience have gone very quiet, so I don't know what that means. That's a good thing. And get ready to steal as
Can
well,
we ask
team
a
agency. you can have audience participation. You can't phone a friend. But.
B, Bianca Barrett.
I've just seen something
They
wrong.
should have asked.
I've just
I
noticed
wasn't
the.
lying.
No.
B, Sabrina. A, Sabrina
I've
Clark.
just yeah.
Take it back.
Yeah.
Sabrina Clark.
I've just noticed it's on there. I didn't notice that. But you so it wasn't.
You're going with B.
It wasn't. Yeah. I just noticed it was on there. So you were wrong, team media owner, despite having a prompt. It was A, Sabrina Clark. So I can ask you because I can see that you lot saw it. So, but let's debate the topic because this is an important topic, right? So. The discussion point, let's talk about the opportunities for media owners in the future of media, because this is what the next 2 days are about. So it's about audience, about revenue diversification, it's about technology-driven opportunities. What is the future for media owners? And this is going to be open to all, but I'm going to speak to media owner team first. Caroline? Do you mind? Oh, sorry, you were sitting back. I'm like, no, come to you first.
I mean, that's a really big question. You know, what is the future for media owners? I mean, I think for a lot of us, we're trying to diversify what we do, and you know, we're moving into, for us, you know, the digital space is definitely kind of an area of growth for us. We kind of started the whole kind of programmatic automation journey about 4 years ago, and we are definitely kind of on a growth trajectory in that space. But that has also come with kind of the development of new technology. You know, for us as media owners, there's been a lot more collaboration in this space, kind of understanding the landscape, and you know, also, you know, building out our kind of digital portfolios in terms of product. So, you know, for us, digital screens on the high street where you know, where advertisers can utilise the benefits of some of the stuff that we were talking about before in terms of reaching audiences, tapping into moments, different times of day.
Yeah, that interactivity piece. I mean, I've seen some really great examples.
Yeah,
in
so
space.
and making it, you know, so it's a platform that allows advertisers to do more on the high street, which is not a space that we've been able to operate in, you know, some years ago. So for us, I would say, you know, the future looks like more digital kind of product on the street.
Great, I mean, right, well.
It's the diversification of kind of a sales channel into kind of programmatic and more automation, and anything else. I mean, my MD's here, so have I forgotten anything?
Has she ticked all the boxes? Has she said all right
You
things?
know, it's, you know, we will be talking. We have been talking a lot about kind of. Out of home as an inclusive channel, you know, the fact that, you know, we are a platform for brands, we are a platform for good. 50p in every pound goes back to local communities, and, you know, we are a channel that probably gives back in a way that not other channels do. So
that's a really good point, actually, because you know, I've watched, and obviously I know you well, but I've watched in terms of what Clear Channel do in terms of the partnerships and the brands that you work with and promote, and it is that collaborative. It seems very collaborative with brands, and you know, some of the unknown brands, like the work that you've done with Jammy to help, you know, access to the high street, Black High Street. It's
so there's
great.
a lot around kind of, you know, some of the partnerships that we've done. Absolutely, has that brought a whole new audience and kind of driven more consideration in different spaces? Absolutely, you know, there's some of the partnership works that we've done. So yeah,
fabulous. think you've ticked all the boxes there, Caroline. So I'm going to come to you from a brand side, but also obviously you've been on the media owner side, and you mentioned earlier that Deliveroo, are across multiple channels and multiple touch points. So where do you see it going in terms of, media owners? What more can they do? How can tech and help on the journey? What do you see?
Yeah, plug here, we are also moving into out of home, given that we've just launched our first physical Deliveroo store, New Oxford Street. Check it out.
Well done.
Pretty dope. Basically like a Argos digital set for food. It's really good. But that gives us another touch point.
That's interesting.
Right, out of home. And as much as there's been this crazy trend, especially post-pandemic, to online and digital, we see consumer trends, and it's always important to check into consumer trends because, again, we can be in our bubble. We've got all the tech, got all the solutions.
Yeah, we've got to see what the consumers are doing.
What the consumers doing, what do they think? And one of the key ones that dropped out for me was this local allure that they have. They want to get back to the high streets. They want to have this sense of community. So how can we use the technology we have, the data we have to help support local businesses and help them connect with the community around them? And the Deliveroo last mile delivery we can do that, right? And I had another point which I've lost. So yeah, I'll stick on that in terms of the technology we can use to kind of maybe help consumers go back to that community sense, local allure. I think that's a good approach.
Cool. I'm going to jump over to team agency now. Lauren, when you were saying earlier in terms of not looking at brand and performance in silo, and how are you helping? I know you're new to the role. It's been a few weeks, but
6 weeks.
Yeah. How are you helping and advising in terms of that audience and revenue diversification, or merging it? What are you saying to?
So I know a lot of
agency?
media owners, and quite a lot of them are friends. And what is really challenging from an agency side is that we get hundreds of media owners coming, with
Best
with
solution ever.
lots of offers. Everyone's solution is the only one solution. And everybody's sitting on this mountain of data. And to Zeke's point earlier, nobody's sharing that data. And we have to do the work in stitching it all together. I think that the future of media owners has to be around collaboration. So things like the Ozone Project, we are, I hope there's no Google Meta people in the room, but you've got...
There will be.
No one's going to put their hand up now, are they?
I apologise in advance. But you've got obviously walled gardens that have sat on so much data that you've got the open web, which is becoming more and more closed, and we are not able to stitch it all together. And Zeke mentioned clean rooms earlier, and to have those solutions as the answer, I don't think is good enough. I think that GDPR is a great thing, and I know I'm saying that as an agency person. I think we have to think privacy first. To Shelley's point earlier, we have to think about communities more. We've got to think about the personal side of hitting people in the economy as it's changing, in those local communities are very different, whichever way you go. So I think media owners need to come together to share data. They also need to understand that we don't have a finite resource of cash. So if I'm going to choose X, Y, Z, there's got to be a really good reason that you're making it onto the media plan. Help me do my job better by collaborating. I don't know if there's a future for, TV broadcasters to collaborate. What's that going to look like in the future where we've got less data? That for me is key.
That's a really good point. So take note, media owners in the room. Make the job. Yeah, of course,
Sorry.
I was going to come to you.
Go take time. Oh, wait, do you want to ask me a specific question?
No, that's okay.
Now, I think for media owners, it's really interesting because everyone talks about audiences and diversification just getting kind of broader, but I think there's a real need to think about unique audiences because, audiences can be brought in anywhere nowadays, at any time, and really the difference is the context environment and understanding the need and the kind of the culture of that audience at that particular point in time. So if you can identify that as being really unique compared to the long tail of competition, then I think that increases value. The other point I would say as well is we're all forgetting about kind of almost like broadcast moments. It was mentioned earlier on that Caroline mentioned in terms of the ability to hit people in a moment, a lot of people in a moment as well. Because as we go down a funnel of too much data, too much kind of fine personalized communications, no one really gets that kind of united message that gets that kind of creates movements with brands and gets kind of makes brands kind of famous. So I think that's the we need media owners to still do kind of mass reach kind of communications and have significant moments that everyone kind of wakes up the next day, with one thing in mind. And I think that's getting kind of fewer, unfortunately, but hopefully some media owners are still going down that path.
That's a really good point. Anything to add, Chrissy?
I guess
Shelley? Or I can go on to the next one.
Agency,
I know, I said both.
Sorry. From an agency point of view, I'm thinking about Mindshare's good growth and their approach, and what Lauren mentioned about when you're collaborating with any of these media owners, they need to be aligned. And the whole premise around good growth is making sure that it's enduring, it's accountable, it's responsible. So as long as the objectives align with the two agents or the two elements, you're onto a winner. So that's
There's also the media owners to do their homework, isn't it? And that's something that you're saying. It's like, just because you've got a solution, is it the right solution for not just the agency, but for that brand? Like, do your research before you go into that room.
Stop making agencies do so much work.
Yeah. Make their lives easier, guys. It's tough. It's tough. Right. This is a competition, so let's get back to it. Just to remind everybody, we have team agency with 1 point, team media owner, but you haven't got anything yet, but it's not over yet. It's not over yet. So we're on to round 3, the perfect pitch. So earlier, Steve put up the main topics for the next 2 days, and after this session, we've got the great media debate. So each panellist was asked to choose one of these 10 topics, and they're going to give the audience a 60-second pitch about the one that they feel strongest about. Now, audience, this is where you take part, because you can award points for the team that you think gave the best pitches. So the win is in your hands, audience. You've got the power. I'm going to come to team agency first for your 60-second pitches. I haven't actually got a timer, but we can estimate the 60 seconds. Who wants to go first, Lauren?
Yeah, I got my notes as a good agency person. I chose measurement, and the reason why I chose measurement is because it's a hot topic, and I don't think anyone has the answer. So for me, measurement heavily relies on privacy first data. And I say privacy first because we are in an era of, privacy. Yeah. And even if Google is in denial and keeps, delaying cookies,
it's happening.
I feel like they're delaying cookies more than the Thames Link train. I'm like, it's delayed again. And for me, the design and architecture of first-party data has to rely on business objectives. So you have to keep asking yourself, does it align with my business objectives? Brands need to be really pointed about the sort of questions they're trying to answer. If you take companies like Amazon, who their data is designed around the questions that they're trying to answer. They don't just gather data for the sake of it, chuck it in a dashboard with all the metrics under the sun, and expect results. Everything is based on a question. Brands need to be a bit more intentional with their questions as well. So ask questions around what you want your customers to be doing, and it has to ladder up to your business objective. There's also no one-size-fits-all approach to measurement because, again, of the loss of third-party cookies.
60 seconds is up.
No.
The last.
I just got started. I didn't
last
get to
point,
talk
come on.
about clean rooms,
Oh.
MMM,
Right.
MTA.
That's
What's going on?
it. 60 seconds is up.
Anyway, just vote for me.
You're passing the baton. Right. Chrissy, you're up.
Okay, so I went with the renaissance of media planning. So I thought renaissance was quite great because you're thinking about taking from the dark ages to modernity. And from an operational point of view, I'm thinking more about the tools and tech that help provide that to happen. So ensuring that we have the right modeling tools to ensure that teams can leverage past data and ensure that they know how to deliver that media moving forward. We need tech that's going to be looking at how individuals are making those decisions when they're choosing a specific brand and tying that all together so that we can facilitate our artists, as I would have mentioned before, to then paint a beautiful picture in what that looks like in a modern strategy.
Cool. You've got 10 seconds if you'd like to add anything else.
And
Can I take the
Dino, I'm sure, will take those 10 seconds. So that was an argument very well made, Chrissy. Let's give this a round of applause.
I'm going to change mine.
Right, go on.
On the fly.
Right, we're starting now. Go on,
Because
Dino.
Chrissy's got mine, so I'm going to change it. I'm going to pick the talent crisis because
Okay.
I think the talent crisis covers a number of the different topics. I mean, the biggest point I would say is that the renaissance of media planning is probably the most important issue because it's the battle of humans against the machines, but we need talent to do it. So, you know, the machines are basically, the last 10 years has been about buying and algorithms and auctions and bids and programmatic and data. But actually, what people don't realize is that gives everyone the same advantage or disadvantage. It gives no one an advantage. And it's humans and creativity and people that actually make that significant difference. And if you're going to talk about the talent crisis, you're talking about people that understand and value sustainability and understand really what it means and the challenge that we're facing. People that are diverse and do understand true inclusion that can
So
get the full
choosing more than
potential
one
of people.
point. I like this.
So it's actually people, it covers everything. But it's that kind of diversity of people that really understand problems and know how to kind of challenge the room as well. I mean, we are in a talent crisis because we haven't made our industry as attractive as it should be, as it once was. And it's a united effort that we need to collaborate to solve. There's too much infighting going on. There's too much media owner versus media
And your
agency
time is up.
versus client. We need to come together and hug it out.
Yeah. Thank you, Team Agency. Some points well made. Right, Team Media Owner. Who would like to go first?
Shall I go first?
Right, there we
Right. I would like to argue that the cost of living crisis will be the top priority for us and actually will affect every single else, every other factor. If we simply start by looking at where the attention of consumers will be, it will be putting food on the table, so you'll be cutting household expenditure, big purchases will be postponed, cheaper brands chosen, impacting traditional advertising, and sadly, if there's one area that's really going to be affected, obviously it's diversity and inclusion, which is my heartland. Teams will be cut, budgets will be cut, and obviously with some of the teams, many of the teams being new, they'll be first out. Plus we know that black, brown, disabled, marginalised people from lower socioeconomic background will be hardest hit by this crisis, which of course affects the talent crisis, which is one of the biggest problems we have in this country. Such a competitive market for talent. You're really going to have to demonstrate leadership on this cost of living in order to keep people and also hire people. And of course, while we're so preoccupied, we are definitely going to forget about the collective, and sustainability will go right out of the window. We're fighting to put food on the table every day. The last thing we have is the luxury to think about how to save the planet.
Amazing. That was well put. I'll let you have that extra second because it was needed. Right, let's reset. Caroline.
Okay, so I think I'd probably sit more in the trust in media kind of bucket, as well as the inflation, cost of living crisis, and amongst others. So I think the cost of living crisis, the big R, the recession, and the impact that will have on the consumer is on the minds of all of us in this room. Couple that with, you know, our continued drive around sustainability, our focus on D&I, and to Shelley's point, the lack thereof when you get into times of crisis, and the battle for consumer attention leaves us with a lot to do next year. But for us in out of home, we'll be focusing on three reasons why out of home should still play a crucial role in the comms mix for 2023. These are real world, so the power of the public medium that builds trust and reassures consumers in challenging economic times. We'll look to kind of reference kind of recent forthcoming research.
Oh, no, yeah.
Already?
Yeah.
Quick.
Sorry, one more.
Quick, 2 more points. Okay, and reach, why reach really matters, how to achieve this cost effectively, and also responsibility.
Right, over.
And also responsibility will continue to be a platform for brand and a platform for good, doing the best.
Is that 30 seconds, right?
We're collaborating.
Right.
You can have 30 seconds of my time.
Right.
So I did not prepare.
You are up.
Right. So it's been 100 years. 100 years since John Wanamaker said, 50% of my advertising is wasted. Problem is, I just do not know which half. So I want to talk about effectiveness, because we're now facing an economic crisis, cost of living. Imagine if we as an industry next year decided, we know how to fix this, we're going to actually put our minds to fixing that. So we're going to challenge our advertisers, effective advertising. That doesn't work. Spend that money on your ESG. Spend that money on your community, right? And I believe if we can solve this effectiveness, actually help advertisers reach more people at the right time with the right message, they will do more of that, won't they? So let's really make next year the time we solve this century-old issue with advertising effectiveness.
52 seconds. Thank you. Right, now it's audience. This is your time to shine. I'm going to ask you as a show of hands, if you think, to put your hand up if you think team agency won. Okay, Steve, help me with this. Right, hands up if you think team agency won. Okay. Okay. And hands up if you think team media owner won.
I think there's people putting up too much. There's no that going on.
It is tough, isn't it?
One more time, agency again.
I think you should have cheered.
Can we count?
You should have cheered.
Come on.
Media
Let's
owner.
make this serious.
I think it's media owner. I think team media owner won. So, the score is 1-1. So, so media, yeah.
Is that 500 grand each?
Yeah, that's down to media top. But yeah, it's 1-1. So thank you, everybody, for taking part in this. Thank you to our great panellists, our great game show contestants. And let's get ready for the big debate. And thank you, audience.
Yes, thank you.